Good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings from Louisiana Workforce Commission, LWC, where our mission is we put people to work in fulfilling, family-sustaining careers by unlocking their potentials within our extensive resources. We say welcome, welcome, welcome to everyone.
Thank you. And Miss Livonia, and to let everybody know, this event is a collaborative effort with Louisiana Workforce Commission and the Youth Statewide Director, also with LASPA. And with that being said, we have Miss Livonia Malvo, who is the Director of Student Engagement.
Good morning, everyone. I have the distinct honor and privilege to introduce our guest speaker for the hour. And again, thank you for the opportunity to always partner with you, with LCTS, CTE, and the great work that you always put out there. So this morning, everyone, again, this honor of my introducing Ms. Lolanda Brown to you. She is the Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion, Chief Diversity Officer for the LHC Group. And she's a champion, again, the importance of valuing diversity and inclusion in the work environment. In this role, Ms. Brown works to nurture a culture that actively promotes behaviors, attitudes, and policies that support diversity and inclusion throughout the organization for both employees and the patients that LHC Group serve. She also serves as the chair for LHC Group's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Ms. Brown first joined LHC Group in 2000 as a human resources professional, serving as a leader and business partner. She has earned several certifications throughout her career, including DEI in the Workplace Certificate from the University of South Florida, and Diversity and Inclusion for Human Resources from Cornell University. Just two of the many certifications that I thought very all worthy to be recognized and acknowledged for. Ms. Brown earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management from the University of Southwestern Louisiana. She faithfully supports initiatives and individuals that are dedicated to the growth, advancement, and enrichment of others. She believes that faith without work is dead, and our future is dependent upon the work that we commit to today. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker for this occasion, Ms. Lolanda Brown. Welcome, Lolanda. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you, Ms. Livonia. I'm so glad to be here this morning with all of you. And like Ms. Ann said, if one individual shows up, I feel that we've done our job. And honestly, as I was reviewing the presentation for today, I encouraged myself. So sometimes we all need to be reminded about how we should show up for others on a daily basis. So I'm going to share my screen, and I am disabled participant sharing screen. So I need to have the ability to share. If I could, Miss Ann.
Okay, coming.
Okay.
Let me see. What I'm going to do is make you a host, okay?
Perfect. I don't have any snacks to pass out today, but if you were at my house and I was the host, I would have some snacks for you, but not today. Let's see.
Are you able to do it? There you go.
Perfect. So the session today is really focused on demonstrating employability skills. And as individuals, as students, as professionals, those skills show up at different times. Today we're going to focus on a few areas that I think will be helpful for us as we engage over the next several minutes. So I will share several quotes that I anchor to for myself, and it's because of maybe my background, maybe my walk, maybe my education, but I wanted to share them with you Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, and that's Nelson Mandela. And the reason why I think I anchored to this, my mom was a first grade teacher for 30 plus years. My dad was very adamant about education and served on our local parish school board. So education for me is very important. And I wanted to start out the presentation with this statement because the rest of the presentation will not be education based. It's going to be behavior based. But I want to make sure that we don't forget the fact that continuing education and constant learning is always important for us to be successful. So workplace success for you will start today. And a couple of areas that we're going to focus on is not only your education, and that is a foundation, that's something that you can anchor to, but also how you present yourself by way of resume writing in an interview, and also, of course, during employment. So many people think that workplace success starts when they get the job, but I'm here to shatter that myth. It doesn't. It actually starts today. So let's talk about resume writing. Resume writing is truly your red carpet moment. It is what an individual will see whenever you submit your information, whether it's electronically or whether it's via paper. And you want to make sure that as you have your red carpet moment, you want to make sure that you understand the audience and understand what they're looking for. Make sure that if you are submitting your resume electronically, make sure that it's PDF, because if you use Word or some other type of software where it can be altered during the transition, it could really present your data and your professional experience, your education in a garbled manner. So use PDF to make sure that it cannot be changed, and also formatting is also needs to be appropriate and easy to read. So your red carpet moment, if someone invited you, let's say, to a Halloween party, and you showed up in your evening gown, or vice versa, you want to make sure that you are dressed appropriately, right? And you want to make sure that you understand your audience. So your resume is so very important. So even if you are a student today, you're probably thinking, well, where do I start? My job experience, I don't have any, or maybe it's been very limited. Well, I think that you should take some time to understand the roles that you're interested in. So on the screen, I'm sharing some information from a study where there has been a significant mismatch between skills that are being required of individuals and also the job postings. So you as a job seeker need to study job advertisements to make sure that you understand the skills necessary and also truly what the job market is looking for. An IT technician job opening 20 years ago looks completely different than an IT technician job opening today. So wherever you are in the process, make sure that you understand what organizations are looking for. And that just takes a little bit of time, looking online, studying those job openings, making sure that you have the required skills that employers are looking for today. Also, you need to tailor your resume for the job. So if you are looking for, a job in customer service versus a job in IT, your resume needs to look a little different. So you need to make sure that you have multiple versions of your resume And before submitting it, make sure that you are highlighting those topics that are relevant for the job that you're looking for. There are different competencies with technology that are relevant today. Again, 20 years ago, if you were applying for some jobs, you probably would not mention technology. But I'm sure Ms. Ann could attest this morning, technology is important and it will bring things together for you. So identifying your competencies as it relates to technology is huge. And LinkedIn, social media gets a bad rap these days, but please know that LinkedIn is the spot for you to have a profile. There are over 800 million users and over 58 million companies that are connected to LinkedIn. So if you are seeking employment and you want to make sure that you are presenting yourself as a person who is interested in employment, please make sure that your LinkedIn account is up to date. So personal attributes. This is, I think, the most important slide in the presentation because it ties back to what makes you a good employee. Information has been shared. Various studies have been conducted. And you will find that employers will prefer someone who has high qualities in their personal attributes over someone who has greater knowledge as far as a skill set. I work for a healthcare company, and oftentimes we say we would prefer someone who has good bedside manner with our patients and has a lot of care and compassion versus someone who can quote for us the home health regulation or someone that can perform wound care, at an excellent skill set. Those skill sets and that knowledge base is very important. But if you are agitating a patient and a family, we really have no use for that employee, right? So here are some attributes that are critical. Flexibility. I tell employees and leaders often, before you say I can't, when someone requests of you to do something, think about it. Even if your skill set, if you don't possess that skill set to perform the task, find a different way to communicate the fact that you are willing to help, you're willing to participate, you're willing to engage, but you may need some assistance in one or two areas. So be flexible. Multitasking, that's so important. Even if I know that studies show that you really can't multitask, but when your manager or your leader provides more than one task for you to complete, you have to have the ability to know how to prioritize and how to get components of different tasks completed appropriately so that you meet appropriate deadlines. Also, working independently. Also being able to have critical thinking through situations to find solutions. Interacting effectively with others. We all can list that one employee that probably works with us today or has worked with us in the past that's just grumpy, grouchy. No one wants to deal with them. You don't want to be that person. You want to be able to interact effectively with others. Also, customer service. Customer service, I think today is a part of everyone's role, a part of everyone's job, regardless of your position. You need to be willing to be a servant and a servant leader to not only your customers, but also your coworkers. Solid communication skills, time management, and also project management. So critical. So what are your key attributes? What are those things that you can highlight about yourself to show your value? And again, You may be a high school student, you may be a college student, but think about those things that you are proud of and those things that you can do without much challenge, without much research. Technology, I think, is huge, and being able to adapt to different platforms, different systems. Also, problem solving, being able to think critically about, how do I reach a particular solution, instead of having a problem and feeling that you need to request someone else to solve it for you. Oftentimes, people get a problem and they drown in the problem without thinking about next steps and how to solve. Also, what are your personal and professional ethics? So, what is it that you can focus on that shows your integrity and your loyalty? Also, how do you recognize the team that you work with? Um, I think that's huge because when you see someone who not only can work independently but also knows how to function as a team, that that is an attribute that is sometimes invaluable in an organization. Being respectful of others. You may even want to mention customers that you've served. Even if it was a summer job that you had, how did you service your customers? And how did you complete those tasks that were presented to you? Also, group or individual projects. Often in school, you have projects that you have to complete, whether it be a research project for yourself or with a team. You can mention those things on your resume because it speaks to your key attributes as an individual. Also, sometimes people like to work out and they have their workout regimen. Sometimes even referring back to that shows your commitment to yourself and commitment to your well-being and knowing how to have that work-life balance. And it also shows loyalty, of course, to yourself. So demonstrating consistency is also huge to show that you are an individual that is ready to work, ready to be employed. So on your resume, you want to be able to share, and show your commitment, whether it's to an organization, and it could even be a community organization or a team or someone that you are associated with through a volunteer engagement. Of course, work history with dates, always important, and also your educational history or organizations that you've been connected with. So also thinking about understanding your future skills. While you may be interested in certain jobs, you may not have all of the skills necessary, but I think it's important for you as an individual to know what are those skills, what's the gap, what are the things that you need to accomplish, whether it's certifications or additional knowledge that you want to attain. Being able to not only identify that, but also communicate that to someone that you're speaking with about a job is important. It shows your ability to understand what's necessary for you to grow in the future. Resume highlights, of course, the basic information in addition to all of the things that we just spoke about. Here's another quote that I love to share, and I'm sure it's familiar to you, Maya Angelou. I've learned that people will forget what you said. They will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's very important whenever you are walking into a room for an interview. And we're going to talk about some strategies that you can apply And not only with interviews, but any meeting that you're having while you are engaging and interacting with individuals in a professional setting. So everywhere you see interview here, just know that it's applicable whenever you are collaborating with others in the work environment. So being early, being knowledgeable, making sure that if it's virtual, you're in a professional, quiet area. Expect to spend time with greetings and introductions. Um, Identify skills and accomplishments that will resonate. Back to those things that we talked about that are important to you as an individual and that spotlight you and your accomplishments. Make sure that you are ready to speak about those. Also, identify examples that you can elaborate on. So I'm sure, you've had opportunities to be in different organizations. You may not have work experience, but make sure that you're able to identify either, sometimes I share examples as a mom. My husband and I have a blended family, and we have 8 children and 8 grandchildren. And it takes a lot to manage a family whenever you have that many individuals involved. But to show that we're able to come together for holidays and support each other for sporting events, that says a lot for an individual. So think about those life examples or work examples that you can apply to demonstrate who you are as an individual. Also have questions prepared for your interviewer and spend some time rehearsing. So this is one of those moments where talking to yourself is okay. It's permissible. And we won't say that you are going off on the deep end. So we want you to spend time talking to yourself, looking at yourself in the mirror to make sure that you see what the individual sitting across from you will see, that you hear what they will hear. So spend some time in the mirror talking to yourself, sharing your highlights about yourself and what's on your resume. So know that all eyes are on you. The minute you touch that door handle to walk in that building, the minute you touch that door handle to walk into a meeting, all eyes are on you and you're being watched. Even the security individuals. Whenever you check in, make sure you know who you're meeting with and where you're meeting. Because if you are going to a building that has, or a location that has several different buildings, several different floors, make sure that you're knowledgeable and confirm who you're meeting with and where. The receptionist is typically the face of the organization, and that receptionist will let those leaders and managers know, oh, she walked in and she didn't even say good morning. She was so rushed, and they provide feedback. And you want to make sure that you know that your interview starts when you're in that waiting room with that receptionist. And always make eye contact and smile. With individuals, as you're walking through those halls, you don't know who you're passing shoulders with. It could be the president of the organization. It could be your next supervisor. Make sure that you're making eye contact and smile. So an interview is always two-way communication, and the conversation is so important. Make sure that you are providing feedback throughout that conversation, because that will help you and the organization know if you are a match for that position. And please know that all assigned interviewers, they may not know all of the legal questions to ask, and they may not be engaging. So be ready to guide the conversation if needed. Be ready to share yourself if only 2 questions are asked. Another one of my favorite quotes by Michael Jordan: talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence will win championships. And I think I could take that to the bank, because I do believe it. Because You must be intelligent. Your knowledge is great, but you have to be intelligent when communicating and collaborating with individuals. So during your interview time, make sure that you listen carefully. Restate questions if needed. Make sure that your answers don't stray away from the questions that was being asked. And if it does, it's okay to acknowledge it and say that you're going to come back to the question that was asked. Be positive. Um, Even your worst professor, if you have a tendency to want to talk about that person or talk about the horrible job that you had last year, don't do it. Be positive. Show that you have loyalty to your university, your instructors, and even prior employers. If you're negative in an interview, that is a huge red flag to individuals that are wanting to employ someone that's positive. Continue to focus on your own skills, describe your relevant strengths that are applicable, and always be honest and grammatically correct. And I say grammatically correct, and I just want to point that out. Even today, I have to be careful about not using shorthand at work. And when I say shorthand, I mean emojis and verbiage I would use in texting or certain acronyms or just because there's a whole new language out there with texting, right? Oftentimes I have to ask my children, can you spell it out? Like, I just learned be right back, BRB. I'm like, what are we talking about Baton Rouge for? What are we about to do? No. They were like, be right back, Mama, not Baton Rouge. I'm like, okay, good. So be careful about using slang, shorthand, and terms that we would use in texting. Be careful about using that in your communication, whether in person or electronically at work. So here are a few questions that I want you to talk in the mirror to yourself. Prepare for this list of questions so that you have an opportunity to know the answers that you will provide in your interview session. Some of these questions may be asked of you and some may not. But even if they're not asked of you, try to add them into your conversation so that you have your 30 minutes of fame with that interviewer and they walk away understanding who you are as an individual. This is a big one. Tell me about a time you made a mistake. Often, we're human and we're going to make mistakes. But whenever that question is asked of you, be sure that you add in the solution. Don't leave it as a mistake on the table. Make sure that they understand how you solved for it. This is the big question. At the end of the interview, it's almost that time where you can take a sigh of relief because you know that it's almost over. They will ask, do you have any questions for me? Well, don't take a sigh of relief and don't think it's over, because now is the time for you to take a deep dive into not only the person that's interviewing you, but also the organization. These are things that people walk away wondering, but if you take those extra minutes to ask, you can definitely walk away confident knowing that you understand the person that interviewed you and you understand the organization. And always close the interview positively. Don't get to a point of uncertainty, because we always, at the end of the interview, we're wondering, did I do well? Did I answer everything? You start maybe looking at your notes. Continue having eye contact. Continue to smile. Reaffirm your interest and express appreciation for the interview. And this may seem like a little old school, but send a thank you note, whether it's an email or something in writing. So once you get to the job offer, this is where most people think that's when they start showing their skills. But again, there's a lot of work to be done to get to this positive job offer, to know that, I've done a good job and they are excited about me just as well as I am excited about starting with them. And if you do not get the job offer, just know that success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that truly counts. As an employee, or even other opportunities that you may have to engage with employers, sometimes individuals are not interested in internships, but I am a strong supporter of interns, simply because students have an opportunity to understand an employer. They have an opportunity to shadow, to be mentored by someone who is a professional in the industry that they're interested in. So even if your assignments through school don't require you to complete an internship, please reach out and find out through your supporters here with the state how you can actually connect with an employer to conduct an internship. You would be surprised about how much you will learn and the connections you can make in the industry that you're interested in. So your overall employment goals, once you land that perfect job, now it's time for the real work to start, right? It's time for you to apply your knowledge, to also know that the company is excited about having you on board, but truly your work starts here, and truly it's time to impress your employers. They're excited about you, and they're excited that you joined the organization, but you have to show that you are a continual learner and that you are willing to contribute to the organization to be successful so that they can be successful, and that you're interested in being exposed to different facets of the organization. Because who wants to begin and end in the same role? I don't think anyone does. So show that you are willing to develop yourself and also share your expertise in various areas of the organization. So advice for success, professionalism is so important. Even, remote work sometimes makes us think that we can show up in our PJs, we can show up in our workout clothes or our most comfortable clothing that we have, but professionalism has not gone away. Please dress, speak, and write as a professional. Again, be flexible, be positive. You're going to find that in every organization, you're going to have people that want to gossip, people that want to complain. Steer away from them. It's maybe what they're saying could be factual, maybe it's not, but it's unnecessary. So connect with positive individuals, and if they're not present, create the positive environment, because it's horrible to show up at work knowing that you have to listen to people gossiping and complaining. And then also be eager. Accept assignments and meetings willingly. And again, I'm going to close with this because I feel that it's most important. And through every stage of you demonstrating your readiness for employability, people always connect with how you made them feel. So realize that people are watching on a day-to-day basis, and you have what it takes in you as an individual to be successful. You do not have to mimic or be like any other person that you see. All you need to do is anchor to the qualities and the gifts that you have been gifted with and expound on those. Those lasting impressions are important. They can take you forward, and oftentimes they outweigh your actual credentials. And that's the end of my formal presentation. I'm going to stop sharing. And I could not see my audience, but now I can. So just want to see if there are any questions. I know, and I was not timing myself, so I apologize if I went over the 20 minutes.
You are very well received by the audience, and you are also timely. So we can move on and see if there are any questions. So let me say this. What we're going to do is to move to each breakout room presenter, but they will present right here so that we could capture all of those presentations. And then we will also take questions in between. We have several folks who are joining that are guests. And so I want to take this time to welcome them to our Employability Skills for the 21st Century presentation. And I'm glad you joined us. You didn't join us too late, but you did join us. So we're excited about that. And at this time, before we begin our breakout presentations, I would like to introduce a very special person. She is my colleague at the Louisiana Community and Technical College System, and she is also our new director for Skills USA, Miss Allison Bordelon. Allison, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you, Miss Ann. I didn't know you were going to do that. So, no, I'm so thrilled that you did this today. I think it's fantastic. Miss Lalonda, your presentation was so thorough and awesome, and we definitely would love to incorporate some of those philosophies to our students within Skills USA. It matches beautifully within that framework, so thank you for that. And if anybody wants to learn more about Skills USA, about what we do across the state in post-secondary, please reach out. I would love to connect with you. So thank you, Ms. Ann.
Thank you, Allison. I appreciate those comments. So at this point, we are going to move forward, and we are going to first hear from Ms. LaTanya Scott. LaTanya is going to speak briefly about communications as an employability skill for the 21st century. So LaTanya, would you introduce yourself and then move right into your comments? Thank you.
Yes, good morning. LaTanya Scott. I'm the Communications Director with AARP Louisiana, where I've been for the last 7 years. And I was telling Ms. Ann in the chat box, our speaker did such a great job, and mine was more of a conversation and not necessarily a presentation. And so I just wanted to say she did a fabulous job. And the one thing I will add on, because I really think she hit on, I'm looking at my talking points, and she hit on majority of them. And so I just wanted to mention, what she said about being prepared in advance. Communications, it's key. You don't wait until you get the job. You should do the work in advance of actually landing the job. I did want to just kind of talk about a little bit about social media presence, because I know right now all of our youth, they're on social media right now, and just express how important it is to maintain a very professional demeanor on your social media platforms. You want to make sure if you're on LinkedIn, you want to make sure it's up to date, it's professional, you have a professional photo, your summary is very concise, and you have a list of your skills and experiences. Because one thing that I do know is that employers do check out our social media platforms. And so that goes for your Facebook, your Twitter, TikTok, wherever you are. You want to make sure if you're looking for a job, you need to make sure you're representing well, because employers do take that into consideration when they are, considering you for a position. And I think that was the only thing, that I had, that I highlighted, that I just kind of wanted to, talk about a little bit, because I know that that's where everyone is right now on social media. So just be cautious, be aware, and make sure you're representing yourself appropriately. And make sure, again, your LinkedIn profile is up to date and current.
Thank you, Latanya. I think those are excellent tips. And, if you're of my age, you're not that aware about social media, but I'm glad you brought that up, and you're talking to our audience. So thank you so much for that. Our next presenter is Miss Cherry Wells, and Cherry's going to talk about manage information responsibly. So Cherry, please introduce yourself and take it away.
Awesome. For the second time, I won't show you my slides, but I'll talk about it. So for employability skills for managing information, it kind of covers what employers suggest that managed information can take a combination of professional and personal focus. So today, my talking points, we're talking about defining managing information, which I just did, collaboration, workplace technology, SMART goals, and time management. So what collaboration means is working with your coworkers, or if you have to work with external customers or internal customers and people within your own organization. I brought up 3 different strategies that you can use. One is be able to read the room. So when you're talking to business industry partners, to customers, just making sure that they're just watching their mannerisms, their behavior, their structure in the seat, and are they listening? Are they engaged? If they're not engaged, and just being able to change up what you may have wanted to say, and maybe bring it down to the level so that you can be able to communicate. A second strategy is it's as simple as we tell our kindergartners to put your listening ears on. So whenever you're sitting in a meeting or talking with customers, try not to speak so much, but to put your listeners on so you can kind of pinpoint exactly what they're saying, so you can make sure you're providing them with the right information. The third strategy is only provide information that is requested. Sometimes I know I work with our business industry partners, and you want to say, we have all these different things, and they only really want 1 or 2 things. So be sure to listen, read the room, and provide them with the information that they ask for. Because if they want more information, you can always give them the website or give them a 1-page or a handout so they can review. Because we have to make sure that their time is valuable just like our time is valuable. So they want to come in and actually talk about what they have on their mind. So just to recap is to contribute to the team by sharing information and expertise when appropriate. The next talking point is workplace technology. So this means to learn workplace technologies that assist in gathering and organizing information. So the first objective is be knowledgeable of which system your organization utilizes. So most organizations may use Microsoft Office, some use Google. So it's figuring out which ones work, so you'll know which ones can help you. So the second objective is use your workplace technologies to help you. So first, go over all your different work streams. What do you do? Who do you work with? What are your tasks that have to complete it for the day? And then to take it a step further, when do these tasks, what is the frequency of these tasks that have to be completed? Is it daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, quarterly? Because how you plan out your day is when you know when these tasks are due. What are your tasks and when are they due? A lot of us sometimes deal with a lot of data and information. So the next step is, well, how should I be storing this information? Do I need to keep this in a spreadsheet? Does this stay in a Word document, or am I having to enter this daily into our own learning management system? If you work for LCTCS, then it's Banner. So you may be going to different parts of Banner. So learn how to use that system. Next is when you think about your tasks, you also have to think about who may help you in your organization or outside your organization to complete these tasks. Is it something that you're doing on your own, or is it something that may involve student services? Is it something that may involve the finance department? So just making sure that you understand what your tasks are, when does it need to be done, how do you collect it, and who all may have to help you to complete this task. The third objective of Workplace Technologies is it's 2023. We have to learn how to be agile. It's about to be 2024 in a couple of months. So a lot of us, and I do it too myself, like to write things down. Well, sometimes I write things down on my little notebook, and sometimes my notebook doesn't always make it with me everywhere. So a lot of I try to tell people, move on to things that are more internet based. That way you can have access to it wherever you go. A couple of things that people in our organization use is Trello to keep track of what you're doing, Post-it notes, to-do list. Some people use Monday.com to keep track of their to-dos. And there's also something called Smart Sheets if you're a more Excel spreadsheets type of person. So you have to do what's more comfortable for you, but also try to make it more internet based. That way you can access it at any time. The next one is making SMART goals. And I say SMART goals because we all heard of it. So S, be very specific in what you're trying to do. N, make it measurable. How do you know if you completed it or not? How well was it received? Make it achievable. Don't create a goal that you'll never reach, and make sure you'll be able to reach it. Make it realistic. And make it timely. Is this goal you're going to do by the end of the day, by the end of the week? Is it going to be bi-weekly, monthly, wherever? You make that. And last we talk about is time management, which is plan and manage how to get your daily tasks completed. So what we talked about earlier in the slides is find an application to assist you in keeping yourself on task. If that means going and using Trello or some type of internet based to say, oh, these are all my tasks for the day, prioritize those tasks. What things are the most important that have to get out, and go from there. Last tip of the day, we are all human beings, and at some point you have got to turn work off. So whatever the end of your workday is, turn it off. It will be there tomorrow. It is okay. You literally live one life. So make sure you keep that life balance worked out for you. And that is end of the presentation. Thank you.
Terry, work-life balance. That is something we have to learn how to do. And that's some great advice to our young people who are entering the workforce. Thank you so much for all of that. Okay, so now we're going to go to think and solve problems. And that conversation is going to be with Lalonda Brown again. Thank you, Lalonda. And I would like everybody, especially our guests, to please put your name, your email address, your organization in the chat, because we will be sending out certificates of attendance, and I want to make sure I have everybody. Thank you. Okay, Lalonda, take it away with think and solve problems. Woo!
Awesome. So thinking and solving problems is something that I think is applicable in any work environment. And that is a skill that employers really value, because every employer is looking to improve. It could be a fast food restaurant. It could be the state of Louisiana. It could be the local hospital. We're always looking to improve. So I like to see problems, honestly, as opportunities. Opportunities to collaborate and have a discussion about how we all see the situation, because you may see it from one viewpoint, but a leader may see it from another. A customer may see it from another perspective. So it's important to be able to assess the situation and also identify problems that are associated with the situation. So being able to, I think, collaborate with others regarding the problem or the opportunity, identify root cause. So opening a conversation with, we have a problem is much different than approaching the conversation as, you know what I noticed, and I think we have an opportunity to make a small change and we may have better outcomes. So, not only being able to identify the problem, but also walk through maybe the root cause with the team. I know a lot of people don't like to have a meeting before the meeting, but sometimes you have to get the buy in and the support of others regarding the problem or the opportunity that you have identified so that you can be prepared to work through potential solutions. And it may not be one size fits all. It may not be that plan A is the solution that works. Sometimes you encounter conflict as you are walking through and navigating through potential solutions because everyone, again, doesn't see it from the same vantage point. So be prepared to know that as you're walking through potential solutions regarding your problem or your opportunity, you may encounter what feels like conflict. But don't let conflict be discouraging to you. Know that whenever there's conflict, there's obviously an interest somewhere, and there is an opportunity for people to come together and find a solution for the problem. And know that you don't have to be a creative individual to solve problems. All you need to be is uh, respectful and also receptive to your environment, because I can walk into any environment and find something that I can improve, even my own office, even my own home, even my own vehicle. So know that there are always opportunities for improvement, and you just need to be receptive to be able to talk and collaborate about potential solutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lalonda.
You're welcome.
I think I could walk into all of those spaces as well and find something to improve upon. I'm going to remember that. Thank you. All right, so now we have demonstrate a positive attitude, and we have Mr. Leonard Zanders. Would you please introduce yourself and let us hear what
I know that she was saying something good too.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was.
I know. I was ready. I was ready to introduce and say something, and then it's okay. I mean,
okay, thank you.
This is what I asked. While I introduce myself, can you share, can you make me host right quick? I don't have words, but I have images. You can do it right on the participant.
I'm going to try that right
now. You already did it. This is just,
I know.
This is just a repeat.
Here we go. Here we go.
Great morning, everyone. My name is, I'm the host, just that fast. My name is Leonard Zanders. I'm the project director with Job One, the American Job Center in Orleans Parish. And I'll be talking about positivity. If I had to title this, it would be Get Your Mind Right. Now look, I didn't put that on you, but now I need to find out how to share my screen. Here we go, the green button. All right, here we go. This will be simple, but it should be engaging. I got a question. Does she look happy to be here? No. I'll ask you to put it in the chat real quick. What's the effects when we don't want to be somewhere? What's the impact when we don't want to be somewhere? Let me pull up the chat box. Let's see what people are putting in. Negative. Yes, she's not happy to be there at all. My presentation does not speak on body language, but it does speak towards, it is connected. With that said, no, she doesn't want to be there. We affect others in the space. No productivity, negative. I could see, I was preparing for young people that might not be used to dealing with people that be having that face, but it seemed like we understand the impact of when we don't want to be somewhere. Okay, let's see. What about here? What if you don't want to do something? What's the impact if you don't want to do something? If you didn't put something in the chat the last time, I'm asking you to put it in this time. If you don't want to be at your job, if you don't want to be at school, if you don't want to be somewhere, no productivity, it doesn't get done. These are not groundbreaking, zero engagement, stressful, poorly done, period. These aren't groundbreaking revelations. This is common sense. I'll flip it. Let's see. Let's see what we got next. Okay, so that's attitude. What would you do if you thought you were in a room and there was a bomb in a room? What would you do if you thought you were in a room with a bomb? She say not enter, run, get out. That's right. 100%. That look, if somebody pray and run, let's go, Tanya. Throw it in there. That's right. Or run while we pray. Exit immediately. Come on, Lalonda. That's right. What about this? What would you do if you thought? Way to look out for the others, Ellen. That's right. Way to call 911 because we just running. Ellen gonna call 911. I'm glad you here because the other people we going. What would you do if you thought someone was chasing you or coming after you? What would you do if you thought? That might be call 911. It might be the same thing. It's pray and run. Exit me. Peace out. Let's go. I'm with that. That's right, Ellen. We just gonna have them on speed dial. That's correct. That's correct. This is the point. Thank you all for playing along. This is the point. Our thoughts determine our actions, and our attitude determines our outcome. And it's really that simple. If we think something, we're going to act. Whatever it is. If you think somebody doesn't like you, you're going to treat them like that, even if it's just on the inside. If you think something won't work out, you will approach it as such. Our thoughts dictate our actions. Before every action is a thought. Before every conscious action is a conscious thought. And you can trace our actions back to our thoughts. With our attitudes do determine our outcomes. That doesn't mean we're going to fail if we have a bad attitude. It just means we won't do our best. That doesn't mean we won't do something if we have a bad attitude. We're just going to be negative. We're just going to affect those around us, which does affect our overall outcomes. As professionals, I know we have some guests on here, a number of us are. As professionals or personally, we can all attest to the fact when we had a bad attitude, it affected our environment. It affected our outcomes. That's what the deal is. The Chris Gardner, it's not Christ Gardner, it's actually Chris Gardner. But Chris Gardner, who wrote The Pursuit of Happiness, played by Will Smith, one of his, quotes is, "I'm not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Life is about how we react. And our thoughts and attitudes are reflections of our reactions to things. And we want to make sure those are positive, because when they're negative, they will affect our actions and it will affect our outcomes. It's not a question, it's just a matter of how much. This is a child in India. There is widespread, really tragic poverty in India, amongst other places. This child has a smile on their face. And if I asked us, do we believe she is happy? Many of us would say yes. In fact, you would have to convince me she's not, despite her surrounding. This isn't photoshopped. This is where a number of communities in India live and thrive and do their thing. And it's tragic, but it's also a message that we determine our happiness, we determine our positivity, we determine our thoughts, and we can be positive anywhere. In concluding it, what that looks like on a job is we promote A job, B job, C job. First, you want to get a job. Then you want to get a better job. And then you want to get a career job. Regarding employability, that A job will have many of us looking like this. Getting a job might have you feeling like this. Go here. It's not about your environment. It's about your mentality and your mindset. You approach something with a positive mindset, you can overcome anything in front of you. Thank y'all for the time.
Let me make myself a host again before I forget. That was phenomenal, Mrs. Anders. Thank you so much. And for engaging us in the way you did, because it did make us think about our current jobs. And I'm happy to say that I am at the C level. It's a career for me. But thank you so much for that. And okay, for some reason, it is not letting me. Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. Lalonda, you got to make use of that technology. All right, so with that being said, it's a great segue to talk about working with others, because that positive attitude will help us accomplish that. And so I would like to introduce Ellen Hill. Ellen, please introduce yourself and let everybody know where you are, and then just go ahead with your conversation. I appreciate you being here.
Hey, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ellen Hill. I am the Director of Planning and Urban Development for the City of Monroe, aka Funroe. So just so you know, if you come north, you come to Funroe, okay? So I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to students, faculty, and of course the other professionals that have joined us. You know, this is near and dear to my heart because we're actually going through the process now of hiring several different people for our department. We're growing, we're changing, we've had turnover, and whenever you have turnover, just so you know, students, faculty, you know, as a manager, you have to sit back and think about the environment you have, how you're building your team, and making sure you're supporting those team members as they come on board. And so, you know, when we think about how you come into the workplace, I think you've heard it before. You've heard it with the previous speakers, you know, being flexible. But being flexible doesn't mean, you know, that you only do this within, you know, what you perceive as your job space. Being flexible is thinking about not only yourself, but also others in the team. And the team includes everyone in your department. So I have a department, for example, that has several different divisions, but we work as a team. You know, a particular person might be in a different division, but you might have to work across with another division. Being able to be flexible enough to understand that your questions may not be answered just by someone else in your specific area. That's something that's incredibly important, both for you and in your career success and for your employer. Making sure that when we say you're working in a group, that it's really about work, right? We want to work in an environment where we're relaxed, but when we come together at work, it's actually work. So sharing your TikTok, sharing what happened on Facebook, even sharing what's happening on the news can be a distraction to the team, and it can take away from work, which could cause frustration and or hostility sometimes within your group. So you have to be conscious of that, of how your behavior and how things are happening that might be outside impact the work of the team. We all have a role to play in that team, and now and again, roles change. You know, you might be the new person on the team, but that doesn't mean you can't lead in a particular area. based on your expertise, based on what you know. So, for example, I'll say that, you might be the newest person on the team, but you know about technology that other folks might not know about. And so your contribution might be to say, depending on the project, step up and say, we can use this technology and actually show team members. That is not only required, for team success, but for the organization's success. And it might give you an opportunity, being a new person on the team, to shine, right? Your boss may not have understood when they hired you that you had all these different skills and knowledge that you could bring to the area. But I also want to say in that it's very important to not only appreciate that you are coming to a team environment, even if people don't use that word when they tell you work independently. That's not true. We all work with others. So you're going to have to make sure you're able to work with people from different races, different backgrounds, different age. Sometimes as folks that are different age groups, we might say something that may not be okay with someone from a different generation. At that point, when that person expresses that concern or how they feel, be sure that you need to be able to respect that. You don't have to agree, but you can respect the other person's perspective and where they might be coming from based on where they were raised, based on where they live. So keep that in mind that when you come into the workplace, everybody's there. There's a variety of people. So it's not like perhaps, in your family where you might all share the same perspective. When you come to work, there's definitely diversity. There's diversity in age, culture, race, genders, and it does impact how well the team works together. So, when our previous presenter talked about attitude, that attitude about how other people are is, it's very important for you to recognize that in the workplace, you need to be open. And you might find out that learning about a different culture might be really enriching to your life. I think throughout my experiences at work, I've met people from not only different places, but I've had the opportunity as someone who is a naturalized American who wasn't born in this country, had the opportunity to share my experiences coming from a different country as an immigrant and coming to America and making this my home. So I can't stress it enough that when we talk about teams and flexibility, it does require us to push our personal boundaries sometimes a little bit further to make sure we're successful and the team is successful. Know that it doesn't matter where you are within the organization, you can contribute and should be prepared to contribute at every turn, whether it's in a small way or a larger way, depending on what's needed. But I think that is important to make you not only have not only a job, but be able to really work at having a career. I love telling young people there's a difference between having a job and a career. You can move from several different industries, having a variety of roles that contribute to a career versus just going from a job to another. And teamwork is key to that. Being able to work with people is key for someone who wants a career. Can't say it enough. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Miss Ellen. I really appreciate that perspective, especially coming from someone who is about to hire.
Yeah.
You're in that spot, and our students and our sponsors who are on this Zoom meeting, are trying to figure out how to help our young people get there. So thank you so much for that perspective. And last, but of course not least, it's so appropriate to end this conversation with personal responsibility. Because Ben, you're going to pull it all together for us. You're working with young students, with college students right now. So I know you kind of live in that moment. So please introduce yourself and let's end strong. Thank you.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. You made the job easy to close it all together. This is a great group of people here. I'm honored to be here with everybody. It's stuff like this that really counteracts all that negativity out there in the world. You see, when you see a group of people like this that get together and we can have all this positivity, great advice, just great perspectives, and share. Even those that came dressed today in their Halloween costumes of a black screen with a white name. That's cool too. It's still festive. We're still in the season. But okay, I'm going to talk about personal responsibility today. Now, I am the acting director of the Digital Learning and Academic Support Center at Baton Rouge Community College, part of Louisiana. It's alphabet soup, right? What that means, though, is that I work with a staff primarily of student workers, 20 tutors that are student workers here. So they're learning how to be professionals as well as completing their own degrees here. And one of the main things we're trying to teach is personal responsibility. Now, personal responsibility is how you make yourself available to success, right? Success is going to pass you by if you're not available to it. And personal responsibility is that key to become available. So we're going to start off with a little visualization exercise. So in a ridiculous move, I'm going to ask everybody to close their eyes, right? Don't fall asleep now. Close your eyes, and I want you to envision a bright neon blue sphere.
I'm going to watch him, Ben.
Right? Thanks, Ann. Thank you, Ann. All right, so just this nice big blue, neon blue sphere, all right? It's just glowing, and I want you to put a red dot anywhere you want to on that sphere, anywhere at all. All right, you got that red dot on there? Now, wherever you've put that dot, that represents the exact center of the entire surface area of that sphere, all right? So what you're going to do now is you're going to label that sphere, and you're going to label it family. And then you're going to label that red me, okay? So as you see, wherever you go then, as part of this sphere of influence, you represent your family. And when people interact with you, they're seeing that family and everything that it is and everything that's happened to it represented in you. All right, erase family. Now on the bottom there, write work. All right, you kind of see where we're going with this. You can also then erase work and write friend circle, right? Social circle. All right, you can open your eyes now. What we have here is we have a series of spheres of influence that we are part of. And we are responsible for who we are in each of these spheres. And whenever someone interacts with us, they're seeing the entirety of that sphere in play, whether or not we intend that to happen. So, all right, let's talk about then what you are as that red dot, right? You are yourself building a brand. Right? That is the brand of you. That is what's same no matter what flavor you've got, right? If you're Coca-Cola, you're also Sprite, right? But you're still that brand. You're that Coca-Cola company that's over the entire thing. So when you're talking about personal responsibility, you're talking about building your brand. And choices are made that we make ourselves and that are also made regarding us depending on how we react with brands, right? Why do you choose the bank you choose to bank with? Right? Why do you choose the doctor? Why do you choose the mechanic? Right? What are the things that speak to you about that? Why do you choose something off the shelf at the grocery store when you have a billion choices to choose from? What is it about the brand that you can trust? Now, what I'm going to talk about here is taken from Brene Brown, who's someone I use a lot in training my tutors. She's a social scientist. She works a lot with Fortune 500 companies, leadership groups, and all this sort of stuff. She's an author, and she has a concept called Brave. All right, so now the next ridiculous thing we're going to do in a meeting is I'm going to ask you all to take out your phones. I actually pick up your phone. I know that they're right there. They're sitting right here just talking to you like, hey, look at these notifications. Come on now. Pick up your phone, and what you're going to do is you're going to open the text message, and you're going to send a text to yourself. All right? So put your phone number in there. Make sure that you're sending it to yourself. Although if someone else gets it, this will be interesting. Just send it off into the void. But okay, what you are going to text yourself is the following. My brand is, and then write your name. All right? Okay. Now, what you're going to say next is, to build my brand, I must be brave. I'm going to put this in the chat too, so you got to hear it. To build my brand, must be. All right, I've got brave in all caps here because it is an acronym. All right. So Brene Brown has this concept, braving, right? I'm shorting it, truncating it to brave here for what we're going to do today. And each one of these letters represents how you build trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your relationships, and trust in your organizations. All right. So the first B right there, that's boundaries. All right. And we've talked about boundaries here. This is great. You're going to hear a lot of echoes of just everybody that's talked to you, which probably should tell you there's some truth to it, right? Underneath it all. So boundaries, right? Boundaries, it's important that you establish them, share them, and hold true to them. Now, when it comes to the professional world, you have some help here, right? Your boundaries are set by your contract. You got to know what's in your contract, and the policies of the place that you work, right? Those are boundaries. And if you don't adhere to them, there are going to be consequences for, going past that boundary. Also, there's laws, rules, regulations that could be at the local, state, federal level. All right, and you can think about that like, no shirt, no shoes, no service, right? So if your boundary is, I don't ever want to wear a shirt, man. Okay, that's fine, but understand that you won't be able to get access to these places, right? All right, and boundaries are personal and interpersonal. All right, and they're also about you as a professional. So like a personal boundary would be, don't talk to me until I've had my morning coffee, right? That sort of thing, and that's mostly for your security on your part, right? So you can get this guy and not the guy that Leonard was talking about, or the girl at the beginning there, right? That's a personal boundary. Or don't text me after 8 o'clock, or don't text me on my personal phone, but you can call me on my professional phone. Those are these important boundaries. You got to communicate them to people, though. They don't just understand. They can't read minds. So make sure that you've communicated them, hold true to them, and respect them. All right. The R is reliability. All right. Do what you say you're going to do. Right. Now, the trick here is that also means don't say what you can't do. Like, don't say, I'm going to do it, but you can't do it, right? We oftentimes want to take on too much, or we want to seem really eager, and so we overpromise, and then we have to underdeliver because nobody can do that sort of thing, right? Get yourself out of the situation. People will respect when you enforce that boundary, and you say, look, my capacity right now, I don't have the bandwidth for it. I love this project. I would like to hear you're getting some great terms here, those that happen to be students here. I'm going to circle back to that, or, this is some industry terms you're going to pick up, but just communicate to people that you're honest, right? And you're saying, I really want to help out. I love this idea. I can't work on it right now, right? My plate is full. They'll respect you for that more than you saying, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then you flub it, right? You don't do a great job on it. Okay. Also, don't say you're going to do something that you're unwilling to do, right? If it violates a boundary that you have, you're going to start to create a rift in yourself, right? You're going to violate yourself in that way. And you're going to not be true to who you are. So make sure, if you've communicated boundaries clearly, most people won't even come to you with these sorts of things. All right. So boundaries, reliability, then accountability. All right. Own it. Own it. That means that when you do a good job and someone says you did a good job, don't say like, well, be like, well, thank you. We worked really hard. Me and my team and I worked hard, or I put a lot in. I really appreciate your feedback, right? A lot of us think that if we take a compliment, that's a bad thing somehow. No, understand that, because that's going to be important too. And people see that they connect you with success. But also, if you mess up, and you're going to mess up, I've messed up like 6 times today already, at least 6, maybe 60, right? Own it, right? Don't try to shift the blame onto somebody else. It's not about blame. It's not about whose fault it is. It's about taking responsibility, right? Think about it like this, all right? So I think that my wife is going to bring home dinner. Right? She thinks I'm supposed to bring home dinner, right? We have never communicated about it, but then we get home and there's no dinner there, right? Neither of us have done it. When we start talking about whose fault it is, and we fight for like a half hour about it, what's going to happen in a half hour? We're still hungry. Is food there? No, right? All right, let's have some food. And first off, we're going to have a better discussion about it, right? Because now we're eating, and so we're happy, right, with it. But we've already started to solve the problem with it. So accountability, own it. And that also means making others accountable too, holding them to what they said, but doing it respectfully, all right? That means take the person out of it, all right? Keep it on the task. Say, hey, I thought we had an agreement here. What happened? Right? That's different than you let me down, or you did this thing, or you know, you start to go to that blaming area. That means respecting their boundaries. Which brings us to V, which is the vault. This is a hard one, all right? Because this means that you don't tell tales out of school, right? So you do not use other people's information as currency, all right? And you do it to gain favors. So if I'm like, Alana, I know what's going on with Ellen. Do you want to hear what's going on with Ellen, right? I'm trying to get in with Alana here. Look at Ellen over here shaking her head, right? That's not fair to her. But here's the thing, too. What Alana gets from that is she can't trust me, right? Even if I say I've never said anything about what you said, Alana, to anybody. Yeah, but you've come here and you shared information that wasn't yours to share, right? You become untrustworthy there. So in trying to make a bid to rise up or for approval, you've opened the vault. Don't open the vault. Keep it shut. And the great thing here is just stay out of the gossip, right? People start talking about it, say, look, I don't know anything about that. You know, I'm focused here on this other area, and you can avoid those kinds of situations. That really makes things sticky when you work in a team and people are doing all this back channeling back and forth with what the real story is, right? And no one has all the information. The last part, the E, is engagement. All right, engagement is key. You know, your mouth gets you in trouble. And I don't mean when you speak out loud necessarily. I mean when you speak to yourself in your head too, right? That's how, like Leonard was saying, you become that attitude creeps in, you know, or was it Latanya who said that you just won't do a good job at it or something? I heard it. I'm not going to do a good job at that. All right. You got to change your talk. All right. How you talk to others, how you speak things out, but how you speak to yourself too. If you're looking for evidence that you don't belong somewhere, or that you can't do something for whatever reason, you're always going to find it, right? That evidence is going to be out there because it's there, plentiful everywhere, and you will take it and start believing it, and then you've created this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I don't know, y'all seem like you're all a bunch of motorcyclists here, so I know y'all cranking the Harleys. But if you go to motorcycle school, right, you have to go to this training course, right? And the first thing they're going to tell you is when you're on that bike, where you are looking is where you're going to go. Right? So you got to be careful where you're looking on that motorcycle because look at that tree, look at that tree. Now you're hitting that tree, right? Okay, so that is also there with the self-talk as well. If you're looking for, I can't do it, I don't belong, nobody likes me, you're going to go there, right? I hate this is no good, I'm not good at this, that's where you're going to go, right? I'm doing my best, I'm trying to get better, we're going to get this done somehow. Now you're going to go in that direction. Okay, you got to kill the excuses, or they're going to kill you. Right? There's always going to be excuses for it. You can feel them and say, I don't want to do it, but here's why I'm going to do it. You know, and that's okay. You know, because we don't want to do everything we have to do. It's called a job. Right? All right. So, but along those lines, here's some handy tools that you can use to switch your self-talk. Never say you have to do something. Say you get to do something. Right? Oh, I have to go to work in the morning. I get to go to work in the morning. Right? You know, oh, I have to go take this biology test. I get to take a biology test, right? And how nice is it? There's people all around the world that would kill to be able to take a biology test right now. Their situation is awful. But please put me in a boring biology class or something like that. Let me fail it. I don't really care. I just want to take it. All right. Also, the thing about it is try to change your words to say that I choose or choose not to. Not that I can't, but I choose not to. Look, I'm really busy right now. I choose not to get involved in that, right? That's better than I can't, right? Because I can't is almost like, it's a much more negative way to say it, and it takes your ownership and responsibility and cast it off yourself, right? Be responsible for yourself. Say, no, I choose to get up and work out, right? Or I choose to not get up and work out today. I'm exhausted. Now you're being honest with yourself. Also, this goes with nervousness and anxiousness. I'm nervous about this test. I'm anxious about this test. When you're nervous and anxious, what happens to your body? How do you feel? Right? What do you think? You get like sweats maybe, you get the palpitations, it's in there. How about when you're excited? When you're anticipating something you like? Same thing. Your body actually has the same physiological reaction to nervousness, anxiety, and excitement. So if you change and you say, look, I'm excited to take this test, right? Even if it's to get through it, right? And you start talking to yourself like that, then you're going to have that positive attitude we've been talking here. You're going to make connections. You're going to be engaged, all right? Because engagement here is how you get interested, right? Sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, right? Find a way that you get interested in, your husband's fantasy football league or something like that, or, or anything your coworkers are talking about, your boss is going off about something. Try to get interested in it, the data, the data spreadsheets. Find a way to get interested, because interested people are interesting, right? And people are interested in interesting people. And you start to attract these sorts of things and connections. And they say, man, I really enjoyed getting on that call with Tell, or Allison, she invited everybody to text her to get with Skills USA stuff. I'm going to take her up on that opportunity, right? She seems like an interesting person, right, for this. So I'm interested in seeing what we can do to build together. This is how you avoid boredom, how you stay motivated, and it's a way to connect to other people. So what this does require you to do is be brave, like the acronym says, right? You got to take a chance and put yourself out there and be vulnerable. But if you hold true to your boundaries, you make sure you're reliable, you stay accountable, you make sure that you keep people's information in the vaults, including yourself, don't overshare, right? And you try to get engaged in everything that you do, then you will be building a brand that is very strong. And people will know that I can always go to Ann and know that if Ann's got me on something, that's going to be a worthwhile endeavor, right? I know that. Ann asked me to do something, I am there, because it's about building and doing the right thing. So, all right, I took up way too much of your time, like we do anyway. I get to talk. I'm a former professor here. I could talk for like hours on end. It's great. But I just love getting a chance to share with all of you today and hearing all the awesome information that was shared for all the presentations. So happy November, everyone. Be brave.
Thank you so much, Ben. You really brought it home, I'm telling you. And we are a few minutes over, but we started a little late. The guests that we have here, does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask our presenters? And I tell you what, if you want to put it in the chat, that's fine as well. We would like everybody to place their information in the chat so that we could send you a certificate.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms. Ann. You will share the recording as well?
Yes, I will.
Bye.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Bye-bye, everybody.